I must say, though, that a number of companies have really made an effort to have their employees work at home. I know certainly, you know, Chorus and CKNW have done an awful lot to get the people to work at home, so they don't have to.
Have a hard time getting the night newsreader on global television or CTV.
Well, that's not. Oh, on a television station, yes.
Well, no, you can do it with this.
Well, kind of, yes.
You recognize.
But I mean, people like Michael Campbell, he does his shows from home.
This simple little thing here.
It's got its TV camera on it.
Has a TV camera on it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
And we're using this. Mitchell's tried to get. We're using other equipment before. Mitchell's
and my laptop died
pushing
today, so I can't use it. So
he phones me one day and says, "Dad, go to this website." And I go to this website, which was Acre Madness or something. And the next thing I know, I'm watching his teacher at Capilano University teach a course on Egyptian history. Because that little thing right there.
He's just faced that toward the teacher. And
if there's a Wi-Fi.
It's got a microphone on it.
If there's Wi-Fi, I can hear everything she's saying. I can see the slides on the screen. I can hear the whole thing. And you can have two people be co-hosts on it in two different locations.
Yep.
So if you were at home right now and you had the same webcam,
we could do this interview live.
We could be doing this interview live with you on screen and a split screen. You'd be part of the screen.
And this isn't.
And this is
free.
This
isn't
is free.
Skype or whatever you call it.
No, this is a $700 notepad, and that's how simple this thing is now.
That's amazing.
Now we have about $10,000 worth of equipment that we put together here, putting the thing on in the first place. But we honestly don't need it all now, and the only reason that we're
it's nice to have the video mixer.
See,
it's nice to have the audio mixer.
We do have 3 cameras, and we can take phone-in calls from around North America because we have a 1-800 number that's good for North America.
And do you get calls?
And we do.
Pardon?
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah,
we got a couple of tax calls last week. One from Dubai.
Dubai. We had one from Dubai. We had one from San Diego. We had one last week. We had the one from the island where the fellow's living in a solar cell energy efficient place on one of the Gulf Islands. So, and watching us on screen and phoning in the same way. And that's just with equipment that anybody can go into London Drugs or Future Shop or whatever and buy right now. That's how simple this is today.
That's great. That's great.
And effectively, it is free because Ustream puts their own ads on there and they earn money. Now, once we get up to a certain audience level, they'll actually split that with us. Not that advertising's going to make a lot of money for us, but you know.
No,
but it's there. And this is basically, this is technology that is similar to what we did with the Hancock Wildlife Foundation, using, you know, doing the live streaming video from the various and sundry nest sites and that.
Yes.
There wasn't this kind of a commercial facility available at all when we started that. And now there's several. And several of them have started up over the last year and a half. This particular facility's really only been available for about 6 months to a year.
So does this mean this is where television's going to go?
This is television.
In the future?
Except,
no, I know it is,
except in Italy.
Yes.
Strangely enough.
Really?
In Italy, the government is just trying, or they're just in the process of passing legislation that will require anybody who uploads video to the internet to be licensed in the same way as a broadcaster.
And pay for the licensing, of course.
Be licensed, period. Full stop.
Pay for it.
And pay, I expect.
Yeah, of course. They wouldn't do it just for the goodness of their heart.
This has been my pet peeve for the last little while.
More people could be watching this than are in the city of Vancouver at the present moment.
Yeah.
Well, it's a fascinating concept.
And if you take the fact that it's recorded and it'll be up on our website
within the next couple of days. It's
it will be on
usually the next day
because it's automatic on here.
Yeah.
And it will also be on YouTube. Some will be on YouTube, so we can have it if somebody types in Crime Stoppers and Shirley Stocker, up comes that part that we were talking about with Crime Stoppers. And people want to see, or somebody in Albuquerque wants to find out what happens if I phone Crime Stoppers, you'll be there.
Right there.
Which is what we're trying to do, which I'm trying to do, because I'm just going to have some fun making some posterity things. And
well, I hope people understand the concept of Crime Stoppers, and how it works. But I guess we can just simply go back to saying
How
that it
are
is,
you mostly funded? Simply
We're
by
funded-
donations.
we're funded through persons who have been affected by crime, who see value in supporting us. We're
So you're a
funded,
charitable foundation?
absolutely, we're
Okay.
a nonprofit,
Nonprofit,
charitable.
Charitable.
We're also funded by municipalities who feel that giving to us, as well as hiring police, is advantageous to them in terms of cutting crimes in their communities. So
Right.
we get a fair amount of funding from the various municipalities. Actually, all the municipalities are involved with Metro Vancouver Crime Stoppers. Now, in other communities outside of the Metro Vancouver area, there is a lot of difficulty, and mostly the funding they get is from organizations and companies who want to work with them, and very little funding from the municipalities.
Well, I thought, is ICBC being a contributor at one time? They were doing
Who?
ICBC?
Oh, that was way back. We did a trial program, and we called it Hot Cars.
Yeah.
And if your car was stolen, for example, you would report it to the police, and then the next morning we would run on the air a whole raft of license plate numbers of the vehicles that had been stolen. And we had all of the radio stations involved, and all of the jocks were getting really excited over it because they'd say, well, it was a result of our show that we
Right.
recovered the car, and so they were in a real competition about how many jocks were going to have, the information coming that it was their announcement that recovered the car. So ICBC had agreed to pay a certain amount of money because it cost us money to
Sure.
run it, and
Yep.
and the radio stations weren't always doing it for free. They wanted their share, and they didn't want much money, but we paid for it, and ICBC agreed to help pay for it. Well, then it got to the point where we were recovering so many cars. I mean, not we, but so many cars were being recovered that one of our directors decided that ICBC was getting off without
Scot-free.
Yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And so he put forward a marketing plan to ICBC and said, we recovered this many cars at this much money, and you gave us this much, and therefore you should be giving us this much more.
Yeah.
And ICBC decided that they weren't going to. I mean, it was a little ludicrous. So they bailed out of the whole program. But every once in a while, I talk to somebody at ICBC, or somebody comes along and says, are you going to redo the hot car program?
Yeah.
Because it was really, really good.
Well, yeah, that
But-
makes sense.
And if
too.
it was successful or as successful as that, do you still have the figures? Because David's going to be doing something on ICBC in the next couple of weeks.
I'm
No.
mad at ICBC right
No.
now.
He's mad at ICBC.
Oh, are you? No, and
Well, I'm just a little, I'm a little disappointed in their computer system. We have two reasons, but that's beside the point.
I personally think there should be an internal investigation on ICBC. If you go back and look at the mandate of ICBC, when it was
1973, Bobby
when-
Sherrill.
when it was put in place,
Yep.
do you know what their mandate was? Road safety. All of the sorts of 50% of the money that they were to bring in from the public was to go back into the community for all kinds of safety programs. And half of the other amount of money was to go for insurance.
And instead it went into general revenue
And now
and Olympic tickets.
precisely. I didn't say that. You said that.
Five-ring circus.
But they don't. But they are bailing out of all of the safety programs and all of the community programs that they were initiated to do.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm pissed off at them right now, and that's what I said, pissed off. They sent me a letter the other, I've got a bunch of cars, and they sent me a letter the other day with a list of my license numbers and the kind of cars they were, and said, you're the principal driver on all these things, and they missed two, which really made me think that their computer system was not up to snuff.
What's their
right?
problem?
Well, they missed two that now one of Mitchell sitting over here, one of the cars he's listed as a principal driver, and Jane's listed on another one as a principal driver, and somebody else is listed on another one as a principal driver.
Jillian?
Oh, Jillian was listed on another one. Yeah,
No.
she's not anymore. Anyway, and we tried to get Andy listed as a principal driver because he's driving one of the cars, and ICBC sends me this letter, which is an insulting type of letter because it implies that I'm cheating, right? So the cars that the two people are on are not there. But we tried to change the car that Mitchell was on to make it another driver. And ICBC, who's sending these stupid letters out, has no method and will not allow you to change the principal driver once the insurance is on it. So, and you've given a car to one of your daughters to drive and so on. So it means that if I've got 5 cars and I've got Mitchell as a principal driver on the white Cadillac the day that I put the insurance on it, and a month later that car is total wrecked, it doesn't exist anymore, and I go down to ICBC to put Mitchell as the principal driver on the blue Cadillac, they can't do it. But they can send me a letter saying, why are you the principal driver on all these cars? Now, we don't all drive them, and I drive all of them, but it just is